Hi, this is JB Cycles with an update on April the 24th. Here I have my cycle chart. In red I have the 7-year cycle. In green I have the 40-week cycle. And for S&P in blue I have drawn a scenario or projection of my expectation. So let's see, if we look at this 40-week cycle, it's often not the best one to determine highs and lows, but it's always there in the background, so to say, and especially at major tops and bear markets it often is more useful and visible. And we see what happens here at these bear markets. We have this cycle here, and if you look at the 7-year cycle in red, what we have is a collapsing cycle. It has a very short time going up before it collapses. It tries again and collapses more, and that's what we have seen. The market low here in March produced a very short rally before it started to collapse, and so I think we are going to break further down, and the cycle still has some power. It could produce another shoulder before we crash down into around November. Another way of seeing this is a doubling of cycles. So if we start from the cycle low around here, it's hard to see that cycle low in the S&P. It could be that one, it could be this one. So we had a lot of momentum coming in here, so let's put it here. So we could see this as a doubling of cycles, and that looks rather fine to me. So let's say something more here. I'm looking for a low around November, and that would be the soft landing scenario. We could go lower or not as low as this, and then we have another 9-month or 40-week cycle coming up, but I suspect that one could also fail. We could rally up around the 200 MA or a bit above before we collapse again, and we get the hard landing, which brings us down into around, say, July to September next year. So it's a bit too early to expect that, but still it's kind of my expectation. But first we have to focus on May and a possible shoulder in the summer and a crash in the fall. Let's have a look at this chart with a 1-month cycle. So I said that last week was a bullish part of this cycle, so we could see some kind of a bounce, but I also had a suspicion that we could have a doubling of 2 of these cycles like this, and that we would see very little of this bullish phase or this bounce, and it looks like that's what we got. So the cycle has a low around 10 to 15th of May. So if you look at this trend line, we are just at it now, and the obvious direction is a breakdown here. So also I have this longer cycle or oscillation. I'm not quite sure what it is. It's I have called it the Terry Laundrie ringing cycle. He identified this one. It's around, I think, 80 trading days, and it consists of 4 of these cycles typically. We had some strange action going on here where we didn't get the low at the expected time. It stretched half into the next cycle, so it was 4.5 cycles, and the other half cycle was added to this cycle or oscillation. So is this a cycle or is it an oscillation? A cycle, it's like the seasonal cycle. You expect January and February to be cold, but if you have a mild winter and suddenly a very cold April, that could happen in a cycle. But still, the next winter you would expect January and February to be cold. But if it's an oscillation of about 12 months and you have a very cold April, then you may suspect that the next winter will also be in April. So a cycle will always, it will deviate from the ideal highs and lows, but it will in time get back in sync where it's supposed to be. While an oscillation can change. It can stretch and then find another rhythm, so to say. So possibly we are in this situation, looking for this ringing cycle to have a low in mid-May and another one with a high in the summer, going down into August, September, and maybe some kind of a cycle here with a low around November, December. That's a possibility. Also, if this is an oscillation, perhaps we had a very long cycle, or let's say oscillation here, and maybe now we are in this configuration. That's also a possibility. So we have to see. It's too early to conclude, but let's see. We should expect a breakdown and a low in mid-May. If it continues, then we may maybe have a change here in this oscillation. We have the Fed meeting coming up early in May, and we have the 9th of May, which is I think the liberation date from the Second World War, and the Russia is focused on some results in Ukraine into that time, so maybe they will have some desperate actions or something that could make some panic here. So expect downside the next couple of weeks into mid-May, and then we have to see what to make of the future from there on. See you in the next one. Bye.